Leafs with a big win last night. That's 2 wins in a row coming out of the bye week in Nashville on Monday and in Dallas last night. And as we've been saying, Matthews, Marner, Nylander, the three of them have made a bit of a statement here to kick off the unofficial second half of the season. And Bob McKenzie, our hockey insider, is in studio. Do you see it the same way, Bob?
Well, hey, 2 wins is 2 wins. Points are important. Nylander came out of the gate hot, no doubt about it. Now Marner and Matthews picking it up. So the important thing for the Leafs is that, the first 2 games out, positive result. And, I mean, could you imagine the panic if it was the other way around? Back-to-back losses, people would have been losing their mind.
Oh, yeah.
Are you buying in, Bobby, to the idea of they have to continue to perform to send the message to the GM? Or is it he has his own message and he's going to do whatever he's going to do?
Well, he himself said publicly that he needs to see a sign that, but I think that's, as I said, and we talked about this before, adding a right-shot defenseman for the long term is the plan regardless of what happens. If they don't do it by the deadline, they're going to be doing it in the summer. So I think where it gets a little different would be if they keep winning and they put themselves in a better spot, then the backup goaltender, getting a depth forward, giving up some more picks or prospects that are not named Sandin Liljegren or Nick Robertson becomes more of a reality. And, if they lost a bunch of games, then, who knows? I mean, if they lost a bunch of games, and I got to be careful. I don't want to radio myself here, but, if you lose these first 2 games and keep losing for a while and suddenly you're 10, 12 points out, do you look at trading Barry? I think you do. I think
Absolutely.
You would. Absolutely. I think you got to deal with the reality of the situation. But the fact is that hasn't happened. And as I said, it needs to be a really pronounced, because going into this week, I said the only way I could see the Leafs being sellers at the deadline would be if they really, really soiled the sheets here for 2-3 weeks and literally are 10, 12, 14 points out.
Yeah.
And the reality is I can't imagine that would happen, that it would take that massive a bottom falling out. Because even if they were just fair to Midland, if they're 6 points out, they're not selling, they're not going to.
You can't send that message.
You can't, no.
Right. No, they,
sorry to interrupt, but the only way I could see that ever happening is if the goalie got hurt. And then they would try and outscore everything anyways.
Yeah, or then they would say, okay, well, then let's go out and
get a goalie.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting you say that about them trying to outscore everything. And we saw that kind of in the third last night. Like, conventional wisdom would suggest if you have a lead in the third, shut it down, try to avoid giving up a goal. Where I kind of sense that Keefe, and I think this is his mentality anyway, but probably even more pronounced because of the team he has. So forget trying to shut it down. Go out there and try to outscore the opposition in the third.
Best way to protect a 3-1 lead is to make it 4-1.
4-1.
Right.
And that never comes up. Like, that's like in the hockey world. Well, you don't do that, but go for it.
You're right. There's an element of you got to know how to lock a game down, but there's also an element of you got to play to your strength.
Yeah.
And that's it.
And if you're an offensive hockey team and you've got a 3-1 lead,
thing is
make it 4-1. Your odds of making it 4-1 are much better than your odds of telling a bunch of guys that like to run free.
Absolutely.
Lock it down. Just let's dump it in and we'll stand in the neutral zone. Those guys standing in the neutral zone aren't going to get anything done.
They're not blocking shots. It's not going to happen.
My only worry, though, against a good team that realizes
absolutely.
that you get the D going north, they're going to be able.
Well, you got to do it within reason. Like it's not like, hey, just pinch as much as you want and let's send 3 guys in forechecking. There's some semblance of caution or responsibility that goes with it, but at the end of the day, you still want them being instinctive and doing what they do best.
Well, you wouldn't do that in the first or second period.
What's that?
Just pinch all over the ice. I mean,
they might.
Well, that's the thing, though. Like,
they're not supposed to.
There's times where on the strong side, no problem. You pinch with support, but I've seen some different things. Like I still am of the mindset is that roster wants to play a certain way, but I'm not convinced everyone on that roster can play that way. And when I see third pairing guys that are circling back and want to, they're the last guy back and they want to handle it and stretch the play out, that's where you start to get yourself in a little bit of trouble. And I think that's what teams, if I was scouting or pre-scouting the Leafs, it's not worrying about Marner and Matthews and how they handle the puck. You know they handle the puck so well. It's hitting weak spots where they want the team to play a certain way, and maybe those players aren't comfortable playing that. Like Marty Marincin handling the puck last guy back, and the Leafs want to stretch it out and get some speed. I'd pressure the hell out of them. Like that has to be the mindset.
I saw the number somewhere, and I don't have it off the top of my head, but their record going with a lead in the third period is really good, isn't it?
They've only lost one game.
Yeah.
They're like 21-3 or something.
So, I mean, and the nature of the beast of the National Hockey League now is even teams you think are really good at locking it down, it's hard to lock it down. It's hard to lock it down in a...
Right.
You can't just go all 1990s New Jersey Devil on everybody now. You can't.